Pirate ships had a massive rat problem. But think about this for a second. You're floating in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by an endless ocean. No land for weeks. Yet somehow, every single ship ended up with hundreds of rats on board. That's impossible, right? Wrong. What pirates didn't realize is that they weren't just chasing treasure. They were unknowingly providing the perfect conditions for rats to thrive and spread across the seas. The first wave didn't swim aboard at sea. They walked in from the docks. Port cities were the main entry points where rats first boarded pirate ships. These bustling harbors created perfect conditions for rodent invasions during the Age of Sail. Every major port was basically rat headquarters. European harbors, Caribbean docks, and African trading posts all faced the same problem. Stored grains filled warehouses, rotting garbage piled up everywhere. Animal pens leaked waste. Stagnant water collected in low areas. Rats must have thought they discovered an all-you-can-eat buffet with free housing. Black rats dominated the shipping world. These clever climbers were smaller, more agile, and masters at squeezing through tiny gaps. Ships docked for days or weeks while loading cargo and making repairs. This gave rats plenty of time to explore and plan their boarding strategies. Rats had better patience for shipboarding than most sailors had for actual work. Mooring ropes worked like highways from dock to deck. Anchor chains provided climbing routes. Gangplanks became welcome mats for uninvited passengers. But rats didn't just board at the waterline. Cargo sitting in warehouses was already infested before loading began. Grain sacks had been home to rat families for weeks. The problem multiplied at each port. A ship starting with 5 rats in London might collect 20 more by the Caribbean. Each harbor was like a rat recruitment center, and business was always booming. Port cities attracted rats for the same reasons they attracted ships: food, water, shelter, and constant activity. Everything rats needed was concentrated in one convenient location. Pirates thought they were the masters of boarding ships, but rats had been doing it longer and better. The timing worked perfectly. Ships stayed long enough for exploration, but moved quickly enough to spread populations globally. Different ports had different rat species, creating genetic diversity in ship populations. Once aboard, rats faced staying hidden long enough to establish themselves. Cargo and supplies provided perfect hiding spots that kept rats undetected during voyages. The very items that kept pirates alive became comfortable rat hotels with room service included. Grain sacks offered the ultimate package deal. Food and shelter combined in convenient burlap wrapping. Flour barrels provided similar benefits with added protection from weather. Hardtack crates became popular destinations despite containing rock-hard biscuits. Apparently, rats have stronger jaws than pirates have teeth. Fabric shipments created luxury accommodations throughout the ship. Wool bales were soft and warm for nesting. Cotton bundles made cozy nesting material for growing families. Coiled ropes provided intricate tunnel systems. Spare sailcloth worked like tent material. These textile hideouts were rarely disturbed during voyages, giving rats time to settle in properly. Rats enjoyed better interior decorating than most pirate captains. Livestock made the situation worse for ship crews. Chickens, goats, and pigs required feed storage in accessible containers. Animal feed attracted rats like magnets drawing metal. Hay and straw for animal bedding created additional cover. Rats basically got dinner and a bed without paying for either. Wooden barrels were supposed to protect food, but rat teeth had different plans. Unsealed barrels were easy targets for gnawing. Once rats breached a barrel, the entire contents became contaminated with droppings and urine. Pregnant female rats made the problem explosive in mathematical terms. Rats reproduce every 3 weeks with up to 10 babies per litter. A single pregnant female hiding in cargo could produce dozens of offspring before anyone noticed the population boom. While pirates were searching for treasure chests, rats were busy making their own treasure: baby rats. Ship storage areas were perfect for rat families seeking permanent homes. The hold was dark and quiet during most hours. Rats could travel through gaps between cargo without appearing in open areas. They learned ship routines and avoided human activity periods completely. But cargo areas were just the beginning of rat-friendly ship features. Ship construction accidentally created perfect rat cities floating on the ocean. Every design element that made vessels seaworthy also made them rodent-friendly. Wooden hulls never fit together perfectly. Gaps between planks were inevitable during construction. Ships flexed in ocean swells, creating more openings over time. These cracks widened during storms and rough weather. Ships had more holes than a government budget, and rats knew how to exploit every single one. The bilge area was rat paradise. This lowest section collected water, food scraps, and organic waste. Dark, damp conditions that disgusted humans delighted rats completely. They could live and breed down there while crew members above remained unaware. Rats found the nastiest part of the ship and called it home sweet home. Wooden beam construction created hidden transportation networks. Rats could travel from bow to stern without appearing on deck. Spaces below floorboards formed secret cities with connecting passages. Rats built better underground tunnel systems than any pirate ever dug for buried treasure. Long voyages required massive supply storage. Ships carried provisions for months without resupply opportunities. This meant constant food and water access for any rats aboard. Living on a pirate ship was like having a grocery store that happened to float. Waste management was practically non-existent. Food scraps got tossed wherever convenient. This created feeding opportunities throughout the ship. The enclosed environment encouraged rapid reproduction. Ships stayed warm and protected. A pair of rats could multiply into hundreds within months. Multiple deck levels created diverse territories. Some rats preferred the hold, others the gun deck. This spread made elimination nearly impossible. Storage technology was no match for determined rats with sharp teeth. But having rats aboard created serious problems. Rat damage on pirate ships went far beyond simple food theft. These unwanted passengers actively destroyed everything they encountered while spreading deadly diseases throughout confined ship spaces. Material destruction was constant and increasingly expensive over time. Rats gnawed through critical ropes holding rigging together during storms. Sailcloth developed holes that reduced wind-catching efficiency. Wooden planks got chewed until structural integrity suffered dangerous weakening. Essential ship components deteriorated from constant nibbling. Rats gave ships the maritime equivalent of termite damage, except termites don't also steal the food. Food contamination created genuine survival threats for entire crews. Rats didn't just eat stored provisions during their nocturnal activities, they urinated and defecated on everything they touched or walked across. A single rat could contaminate far more food than it actually consumed. Grain supplies meant to last months became completely inedible within weeks of rat exposure. Rats were basically running their own food poisoning business with unlimited inventory. Ships lost enormous amounts of provisions to rat destruction and contamination. Crews sometimes faced genuine starvation because rats had destroyed their carefully planned supplies. Entire cargo holds became unusable halfway through planned voyages. Pirates feared enemy cannons, but rats were sinking ships from the inside without firing a single shot. Disease transmission was the deadliest consequence of rat infestations. Rats carried fleas loaded with plague bacteria throughout their fur. Close ship quarters made disease outbreaks spread faster among crew members. Typhus and leptospirosis also traveled with rat populations, creating multiple health threats. Timing made health crises much worse than land-based outbreaks. Ships were often weeks away from the nearest port when disease struck crews. Rats had converted every ship into a floating hospital with no doctors. Some desperate situations reached truly extreme measures for survival. HMS Wager's crew in 1740 actually resorted to eating rats after their food supplies were completely destroyed during a devastating shipwreck. Psychological damage significantly affected crew morale during long voyages. Constant rat activity at night made restful sleep nearly impossible. The growing feeling that rats were winning the battle damaged crew confidence and operational effectiveness. But sailors refused to surrender without a fight. Control methods against rat infestations became a major focus for crews who refused to let rodents win. The techniques were creative, desperate, and often ineffective. Cats were the obvious first response. Ships carried feline crew members specifically for rat hunting, but cats had limitations. They could reduce numbers, but never eliminate populations. Rats were clever enough to avoid cat territories. Cats got promoted to ship officers while still failing to solve the rat problem. Trap construction became a specialized skill. Crews built spring-loaded devices and falling weight systems using ship materials. The problem was rat intelligence. They learned to avoid traps quickly and taught avoidance to offspring. It became like playing chess against opponents who cheated by multiplying every few weeks. Alternative animals saw experimental use. Dogs worked in larger spaces but struggled in cramped areas. Ferrets could reach tight spots cats couldn't access. Some ships tried monkeys, though this usually created more chaos than solutions. Pirates ended up with floating zoos that still couldn't catch the rats. Poison seemed logical, but proved dangerous. Poisoned rats died in inaccessible locations, creating horrible smells. Worse, poison could accidentally kill crew members or livestock. Smoke treatments were desperate measures. Crews burned sulfur, hoping to drive rats out. This risked fires and usually just relocated rats. Pirates were willing to risk burning down their own ships just to evict some rats. Storage improvements attempted prevention. Barrels got sealed with metal bands, but these materials were expensive and not available everywhere. The biggest challenge was rat adaptation speed. Time spent fighting rats diverted attention from essential duties. Despite all control efforts, rats continued spreading worldwide. Ships unknowingly transported rat populations to every corner of the world. The failure to control ship rats had ecological effects lasting centuries. Islands that had never seen rats suddenly found themselves overrun. Ships docked at remote locations for the water, repairs, and rest. Rats jumped ship or got abandoned when crews departed quickly. These islands went from rat-free sanctuaries to rodent disaster zones faster than ships could weigh anchor. Ecological destruction followed immediately. Island birds had no experience with ground predators. Rats discovered that bird eggs were easy protein sources. Entire species vanished within decades. Natural balances existing for thousands of years disappeared in single generations. Agricultural damage devastated food production. Coconut crops suffered from rats gnawing tree bark. Sugarcane plantations lost harvests to rat feeding. Local food sources became unreliable overnight. Rats turned tropical paradises into agricultural nightmares without even trying. By the 18th century, black rats had reached every continent except Antarctica. This global spread was almost entirely due to ships. Rats achieved worldwide travel while humans were still figuring out basic navigation. Modern rat populations on remote islands trace back to ships from the 1600s and 1700s. Genetic research shows connections between current populations and historical shipping routes. Uninhabited islands faced particular vulnerability. Pirates stopped for water, repairs, or treasure burial. Small rat populations exploded without predators or intervention. Disease expansion accompanied rat spread. Regional health problems became worldwide threats. Humans had accidentally created the most successful biological invasion while providing free transportation. Rats turned pirate ships into floating cities, proving that sometimes the smallest passengers make the biggest impact on world history.